Hey there, it's Lawso here, the SEO Assassin. Wanted to talk about controlling your digital assets. When we get involved with a new customer, and I guess that goes for pretty much any of your suppliers in the marketing sense, we have all sorts of trouble finding and locating or getting access to many of the tools that you've used to market your business online. So let me just share my screen and we'll go through a few slides here, and I'll explain what I mean. This really does apply big time to especially e-commerce businesses, because they're completely reliant on online. But generally, most businesses these days really need to have a handle on all of this sort of stuff, rather than leave it all over the place with different people inside and outside of your company. So web hosting and email. So generally, you'll have an outsourced web person or web company, and they will host your website either on their own servers, or they'll use a cloud company. Now that site, that particular server might have just your website on it, or it might have 100 websites. Unless you've specified and worked out a deal and really understand all of this, you won't know. You won't know for sure. So you need some assistance to work out what's the best for you, because it deals with security, and it also deals with the speed of the site, which is so important for us for SEO. So if you've got a traditional website where it's WordPress or Magento or one of those type of applications, you'll need access to the FTP in order to access the website that's on this hosting, wherever that hosting might be. Now you might not know what all of this means, but you do need to know what the details of that are, so that you can, if you want to, move the website somewhere else if you're not happy, or you have a falling out or whatever. There's two aspects to your web address. There is the traffic that goes to your website, and there's the email that comes with it. So what's going on with your email, and who looks after that? Do you have an IT person? Are you doing that internally? Is the web company doing it? Who's doing it? So there's generally two camps. There's normally Office 365, or there is Google G Suite, which comes with all these different applications. So you need to understand where all that sits and who's got access to the master logins for all that stuff. So who controls your web address? So, mydomain.com.au or .io or whatever it is your domain is. Now, when you originally rented that domain, or people think they own them, but you don't, you've rented it. You might have gone through a different provider. These guys have just changed. Cheap Domains have changed to someone else. You've got Web Central, GoDaddy. There used to be a company called Melbourne IT, which came out of Melbourne University. They've been on sold. So a lot of these providers have changed. But here's the other thing. A lot of people left it to their web company to purchase the domain. So they actually control your domain, which is dangerous territory. And I've seen a lot of people, if they fall out with that particular company, they get held to ransom about the cost of getting it back and what have you. So you need to know where all that sort of stuff sits, and you'll get a notification to renew the thing. If it's a .com.au every 2 years, if it's .com, you can purchase them up to 10 years. So you need to understand all that stuff. Above the line here, we've got all of the content management systems. So you might have your site built in WordPress. So do you have master access to the WordPress backend? Is it Magento? Is it Umbraco, which is a Microsoft product? Drupal, Craft. There's a gazillion different CMS systems, and these are hosted on a server somewhere. And then you get to the ones that I prefer as the licensed software, because this is licensed, but most of these ones are open source, and so they can be, you don't know how they're built. Whereas if you go to a hosted application, which is sitting in the cloud, like a Shopify, big commerce, and my favorite, because we prefer this Australian company called Core DNA. These are hosted, they're more secure. They've got CDNs, so they load faster, and there's a lot of other good advantages. But the point with this video is you need to know what the agreement is with any of these, and who's maintaining them, and do you have access to them? Because in a lot of cases, we find that our clients don't. They don't know what the passwords are. They don't know who's in control of it. Then we come to the Google accounts, which is where we sort of specialize with SEO. We've seen so many times someone in the organization has set up YouTube, they've left, the emails being disabled. We don't know which person did it, and we can't get access to the YouTube channel to update it. So we have to leave that one sitting out there in the ether so people can still see your brand with that old channel, and we've got to create a new one. It's a nightmare. Then we go with Google Ads. Again, a lot of people don't have access, or they get a provider to do it under that provider's account. And then once they change providers, they've lost all the history of what was done before, and it makes it really hard for the new people, because they're going to try and maybe make the same mistakes or learnings that were made by the initial company. So you really need to have your own account, have access to it, and then share that with someone if you've got someone helping you to do the ads like what we do. Google Search Console, again, very important tool, free from Google, and a lot of people, they defer to the others to set it up, and we often do set these up, but we give the client master access as well, so that if we part company, they've still got access to it. Google Tag Manager, which is integral into setting up Google Analytics. Again, you got to have access to these things. Otherwise, your destiny is in someone else's hands potentially. Google My Business, which has recently changed its name for about the third or fourth time to Google Business Profile. So that's your listing with Google Maps and with Google Reviews. So again, you need to have access to that. And we've seen plenty of times where we can't go and change it. Google make it very hard if you haven't got access to get control of these accounts. It's an arduous process, and you don't want to have to go through it. Social accounts. Again, Facebook and Instagram sort of link together. So Facebook Business Manager tends to control these. We see so many times that this is with an outsourced company and the client doesn't have a clue, or there's a bigger client with internal marketing people, and they change and move and what have you, and passwords get lost. Can be a disaster. So there's more than the ones that I'm showing you here, but please make sure you've got master access to all of these. I will do another video on password management, because I think that's that sort of ties in with this. But you just got to make sure that you've got, when things get set up, make sure that, okay, if someone else is doing it, we want access as well. Can you show us when you're doing it? Even do a Zoom like this and get them to share the screen and make sure that you see that you get put in there. Really important. Email marketing and CRM tools. So we've got ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact, Salesforce, Klaviyo, MailChimp, HubSpot, whatever you're using. Again, we see people outsource this stuff to other people. They give away their whole database to someone. They have a falling out. They don't have access to all this stuff and the history of what's going on. It's a nightmare. So please, everything's moving to the cloud. You've probably got other systems like your accounting systems, like inventory systems, what have you. If you get outside people, or even if you've got internal people setting them up, you need to make sure there's good password management so that you know how to transition these to other people when they leave, so that you can control over your destiny. Hope you find this helpful, and we'll look forward to chatting with you soon.